going on, guys? Welcome back to the Watch and Cut channel. I'm your host, Alex, and today we're going to take a look at a really cool knife. Isn't it always something cool? I always say it's something cool because it's stuff I buy. I think it's cool, right? So this is the Desert Knife Works Sandshark Dual Action OTF. Now this knife has a lot of history, actually. This knife actually came out many years ago. This was like kind of like a cult following OTF knife that I always wanted. At the time, they were out of my price range and they were kind of hard to find. But they reproduced these guys and they came back out. They came with a stainless steel run very shortly. And they also did a black DLC version, which is this guy right here. So this is the Sandshark 2. It's got a 420 stainless steel chassis handle with an M390 blade. So let's take a look. These things are kind of like rugged and like tactical. So I find it really funny that it comes in a damn tube, which is fine. But knife tubes always make me laugh. I don't know. It just reminds me of like a toilet roll. So there's the information right here in case you guys want to see more stuff or you want to call them and check in for yourself. I actually almost had to call this number and I'll get more into it. But basically what happened was, let me get this out of the way. I got the knife, I pulled it out, right? You got this nice velour sleeve right here. I like these because they feel kind of cool and they feel kind of like high end and all that, but at the same time they get dirty really easily. So not my favorite, but kind of a nice touch. Then you get your knife in this plastic bag right here, and inside is a silica packet that was completely busted open. And guess what happened when this knife got shipped over and all the silica pretty much rattled everywhere is, you guessed it, it went right into the action. So I hit the button, deploy it. It only like came out about this far. And I looked inside and of course it was full of grit and crap. So that was my unboxing experience initially, which would have been quite funny to get under the table. I don't know, lately I've just been checking everything before I do a video on them, just so I can kind of get myself familiarized with it. Because a lot of times, like, these are knives I've read up on, I've seen, but I've never owned. So I kind of wanted to like see what they're all about before I put them on video. But in this case, it would have been actually quite funny. I went to the extent of going online, finding a guy who took one of these apart. Looks like you just take these screws out, the plate lifts up, except my plate didn't lift up at all. So I don't know if mine was kind of like hard pressed in or what the case was. But yeah, it wasn't quite that simple. So in the end, I wrapped this thing around with the cloth, kind of started like banging on it on the side, and then I guess from the friction of the side of the blade and everything, the silica packets broke apart, and then I was able to get the blade freed up. I blew it out, cleaned it out, you know, and presto, it works. So that was my initial unboxing. This is number 318, by the way. I'm not sure how many of these they made. I'm assuming over 1,000 or more. But the stainless steel ones actually sold out really quick. These are still in stock as I've just purchased and received this one. Blade HQ had a really good sale. Normally these are about $535. This one I was able to purchase through the sale at $425. Therefore, kind of pulled the trigger on this thing. I almost bought it a few times, like a lot of other stuff. But I'm like, what do I really need something like this, especially since I live in California, right? But I do have a little bit of an OTF collection, and this was kind of an iconic knife that got away from me back in the day that I couldn't get. So getting the V2 was kind of a second chance at getting this knife, and it's actually really cool. I really like it. It's kind of neat, like to see a knife that, you know, I wanted from back in the day and I finally got it in my hands. Yeah, it's kind of like interesting, you know, it's like an interesting feeling. One of the things I really loved about this knife, we'll start off with the blade here, is these kind of fullers that are like cut into it. I guess these aren't really fullers, these are more grooves, blood grooves, if you will.
When they are inside of a target, it's supposed to kind of relieve some hydrostatic pressure, allow for exsanguination or for retraction from said target.
And you can see there's two very, very distinct pointy sharpening choils right over there. So yeah, that's the blade right there. Traditional kind of dagger profile. I wouldn't call it very narrow either, but fairly narrow enough to get through material pretty easily. But I do see these being something that could get hung up if you penetrated it.
That's what she said.
To like a barrel, if you will, and try to yank it out. So that is one of the things that we should keep in mind when doing these kind of things, because a dagger is a stabbing tool. So chances of you, like if you use it as intended, yeah, that'll get hung up. But pretty cool for those who want to resharpen their own knives. It gives you kind of a terminal area where you won't nick the rest of the knife putting a sharpening stone over it. So that's kind of cool. The blade is pretty sharp right out of the box. Let's see here. Feels good. It's actually tells you right here. It's M390. You know, and you know, I want to say it cuts okay. You know, it's a nice cutter. But it is one of those things you just gotta hold it at the very perfect angle because it's a fairly like thick blade, like, so yeah, that's one of those things when you just got to know how to cut with a dagger, and they do cut fairly well. If you cut like kind of straight on like this, they don't always do as well as if you do at an angle. So right out of the box, I'm happy with the edge. It does look nice and even on both sides as well, which is really cool. You got the body right here, and this thing is completely stainless steel. I mean, completely. So it is a bit of a chunker. It's heavy. It's a lot of OTF knives. We do have the button up here. Actually, I brought something here for comparison so you could take a look. So there's your combat Trodan from Microtech, very popular. Brought this out for size comparisons, but since we're talking about the button, you can see this one's more here in the center. And which one's better, that's kind of up to you. I'm fine with both ways, to tell you the truth. But technically, you are a little bit more ready to go, in my opinion, when it's up on the top, because you're already holding it with the edge out. Whereas this guy, you know, you're kind of like, you're going to go ahead and kind of switch your hold a little bit if you're going to cut something with it. A little bit different. Benchmade's approach at a lot of OTFs is the same. So since I actually have that other knife here, let's do a quick size comparison. So you can take a look here. Let's get a look. Here it is next to the Combat Trodan, which I classify as a decent sized knife. Like, this is not a small knife by any means. But yeah, you can see clearly by the size comparison that it is considerably larger than a Trodan. Here it is next to a SOCOM folding knife, but something I consider pretty large. Still substantial next to that. Here's what would be more of a medium-size EDC knife right next to it. And yeah, it's quite hilarious, right? So, but that should give you a good like idea of reference for size of what you're looking at. So this is a large OTF knife, in my opinion. Really cool, though. And, you know, once you get the blade in the handle, you know, it's manageable for the pocket. But it is probably going to take your whole pocket up when it does so. So, and since me with knives, I tend to, you know, dedicate my right side front pocket just to my knife and nothing else. that kind of works fine for me. Now on the back side here, you do have a glass breaker. Another thing that, you know, pretty traditional Microtech thing that they used to do. Kind of mounted the clip in the same similar manner, and you can see that the clip's got the bend right in the center. So kind of took the idea away, in my opinion, from Microtech directly, but very cool. This particular one here, this glass breaker does have like a little ball bearing on it, which works really nicely. This one's more dedicated on like a little punch or a tip, if you will. So it's all one piece of steel, if you will. So yeah, very cool. You can see the logo of the shark right here. Yeah, just like I remember it from way back in the day, which is kind of cool. So yeah, very nice knife overall. Let's get some specs and let's see what this thing measures out at. I'm actually kind of curious because I remember this thing's pretty substantial if I remember right. So look at that, man. If you do this overall length, including the glass breaker, you're about 10 inches in the overall length department. On the blade here, you can see we're probably a little under about almost about 4.5 inch blade. And then on the chassis right here, we could say we have about a 5.5 inch handle with another maybe 1/4 inch for the glass breaker. So pretty stout little thing. Another thing I was kind of curious about is the blade thickness and the chassis thickness. So let's zero this bad boy out here. All right, let's see what we got. So on the chassis, we've got about 4.7 inches thick, which is actually pretty good, you know. With the clip, you know, maybe 0.52. And then on the blade thickness side, actually not bad at all. Got a blade stock of 0.12 inches thick, which is really nice, actually. The thing is it's not very tall, so you don't get to hollow it out or anything like that. I mean, I guess you could do a hollow grind on it, but this just is a standard dagger profile, which is cool enough for me. You can see this whole thing's had the DLC treatment on it. Looks nice, looks sleek. It's not like that black chalky type, you know, coating, or even kind of like Microtech's got like a Cerakote kind of thing on some of their knives. This is all nice and smooth. It actually has some reflectivity to it, which you can see right here, which is nice. And the blade's kind of like the same thing. So it's a true DLC type coating, which is actually really nice. So the big elephant on the table is this guy right here. Let's find out how much she weighs, shall we? So let's take a look. Any guesses? Any guesses, anybody? I'm gonna guess about 8.5 ounces is what I'm guessing. That's pretty high actually, but I don't know. Hey, let's take a look. Holy shit, 9.22 ounces. Not bad at all. Not bad. I was pretty close. So yeah, that is a bit of a pig, isn't it? But honestly, it's so smooth and contoured and everything. I mean, if you're not wearing a belt and your pants are a little loose, might pull down your pants, but otherwise, I don't think it's much of a problem. So yeah, that is today's feature. So please like the video, please subscribe to the channel, please leave comments down below as it helps the channel greatly. Do you guys have one of these? What do you guys think of the Sandshark 2? Do you guys have a Sandshark 1? Leave it down in the comments down below. And this is Alex from the Watch&Cut channel, out for the evening.